What's up? What's good, everyone? I was watching Atlantis recently with my sister because I haven't seen that movie since I was like 4 or 5, somewhere around there, so it's been a while. Rewatching it with my sister, I realized how amazing Princess Kida is. She is so underappreciated because she is rockin', and she isn't an official Disney princess. Never got that title. Ralph Breaks the Internet has all of these Disney princess pictures leaked, and with the trailer out and everything, watched it, loved it, because I'm a longtime Disney princess fan. And of course, Kida wasn't there. Out of all the Disney princesses, she wasn't there. And you might be like, well, of course she wasn't. She's not an official Disney princess like Vanellope. But neither is Anna, Elsa, and Moana. Those three aren't official Disney princesses either, yet. I mean, you know, Moana still might be in the future, so I guess if you're watching this in the future and Moana is a Disney princess, at the time of this recording, she is not an official Disney princess. Anyway, point is, they have 3 non-official Disney princesses in the princess room, and Kida is not one of them. So I thought Kida deserves some love, and I came up with the idea of replacing Vanellope with Kida to see what would happen in that certain situation. And here we are. If you want to see how it turned out all together, then be sure to go to my Instagram right there, showing you a little time-lapse version of the creation that I had created. Also a bit of a tutorial because my little sister really likes using Procreate, but she always forgets the certain tools or tips or tricks that you can do with it to make your job easier. So I thought that I would start filming them for her and your enjoyment. Course layers are so important. I use them all the time. Usually I overuse them because it's easier to merge layers than it is to separate layers. And having them separated is always very useful. But since I was taking a sketch approach to this entire comic strip, I suppose, I decided that I would put each character into their own layer. Whereas usually I would probably do like their facial features in one, and then their head in another, their hair in another, their body in another, you know, split it out like that. It gets kind of like lots of layers happening, a lot of layers. But since this is just a sketch and I'm not planning on drawing this, I thought I would just put each character into their own layer. The reason I'm not drawing this is because, well, you know, all the Disney princesses were put into this 3-dimensional look, which is amazing. I love it. But Kida was not given that 3-dimensional look, which I am thinking about modeling her in Blender because I have been practicing a lot of animation stuff on my computer, so I am definitely 110% thinking about doing Kida on my own as giving her a 3D model. Have not decided if I'm going to yet though, so let me know in the comments if you like to see me do that. Anyway, the point is, Kida is 2D and everybody else in this scenario is 3D. I usually don't color 3D characters because I'm way too much of a perfectionist when it comes to that. With all the shading and everything, I just obsess over it too much and it takes me forever. Since Kida wouldn't match the 3D anyway, I decided to just do the sketching so that everybody would match and there wouldn't be any incohesiveness anywhere. Okay, enough of the really long intro, now to actually doing it. First up, I started with a really super generic sketch of Elsa and Moana, as you have seen throughout this first part of me talking. I also made Kida as a stick figure you may have saw earlier, just so that I kind of knew where she might be, her height, and where Elsa and Moana's eye line should be, because Kida, as you know, is a lot taller than Vanellope. So if I had Elsa and Moana looking down, it would look like they're looking at Kida's feet or legs or something, and we don't want that. Next, I hid all those layers and started drawing Belle. I also decided to just pick these 3 princesses because I didn't want to draw all of them. You know, I have like 14 pictures that I have to make for this comic strip, so I really wanted it to be pretty simple. So looking at the reference picture, I decided to kind of alter the camera angle a little bit as if the camera was closer in on Kida and the whole scene, which would make Belle bigger in the picture and Elsa and Moana a bit bigger as well. This is just a rough sketch, that's why I haven't given much detail to these 3 princesses so far. The thing I absolutely love about Procreate is that you can like select certain parts and readjust it, because there's a lot of times where I'll like draw a curve or a lot of one feature, and I think that it looks absolutely perfect and exactly what I want, but it's either too small, too far away, too big, maybe a little slanted, not, rotated enough, whatever. But with Procreate, I can just select it and readjust it however I need it to be. After I was done drawing Belle, I started drawing Kida. Now for all of Kida's parts of this, I used pictures from the Atlantis movie, lots of different reactions of hers and full body shots to figure out how I wanted to do her pose. Speaking of reference pictures, I highly, highly, highly recommend using reference pictures for everything that you draw. It is very important, and I absolutely love having as many details in my art as possible, and I don't like relying on my memory for that. So it's nice to let your memory have a little bit of a break and just have the reference picture there at all times, especially since when I'm drawing, I notice a lot of things, especially proportionally, that I don't notice just when I'm watching the movie or whatever. So definitely got to use that reference picture. For cube number B, or 2, I labeled them B. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, for the next cube, I wanted Kida to say, "I'm a princess too," like Penelope did in the trailer. And I really liked this pose from Atlantis, which I noticed looked really, really similar to the one that I just drew. So I just duplicated it, enlarged it to the size and scale that I wanted it to be so it didn't look as similar, and so that the focus was all on her and I didn't have to draw all those other princesses again. So now I can just modify it ever so slightly so that it looks more like the reference picture and not like last time, which is mostly just erasing both of her arms and drawing a new hand a little bit higher. I did realize later though that in the reference picture she is slightly more to the side than in the first picture that I used, so I ended up giving her her other arm back because it looked too off, since in the picture that I drew she isn't nearly as much to the side. The reference pictures are just guidelines anyway. Here I wanted to change her eye line so she wasn't looking at the floor and kind of her surroundings and looking more at like the princess's eyes, directly looking at him. She's gonna talk to him. So to do that, instead of recreating her entire face, I just erased the insides of her eye. So the pupil and the color part, my human anatomy is really, really specific here. I think this makes her look like, towards the end when the power chooses her and her eyes are glowing. I think that's what it looks like. Usually it makes characters look really creepy, but that just made her look like the end of the movie. But we gonna fix it. When I first started Pocahontas, I told myself I was going to draw Anna next to her because I was pretty sure I wasn't going to draw Anna in any other cube. But after I drew out all of Pocahontas, I realized that if I drew Anna there, then I should probably draw more background princesses in all the other cubes, and that would take forever. So for continuity reasons, I thought that I would just keep it to one princess per cube at a time, especially since Anna isn't saying anything. I know I mentioned this just a bit ago, but I love Procreate's copy and paste feature because eyeballs are so hard to make even on both sides for me. But with this, I can just select the eye that I've already done, go into the wrench, hit copy, hit paste, flip it, move it, and bam! Okay, yeah, she's very derp right now, but we can fix that. All we gotta do is erase the inside of her left eye and fix up her eyesight, and then bam! We got even eyeballs and eyebrows. Eyebrows are important. For Elsa in the trailer, you can see both of her hands doing the magical stuff, but that makes it really, really wide, and I wanted this whole comic strip thing to be very Instagram slideshow friendly, which meant that I wanted each cube to be square, and if it's square, then it's not wide, and if it's not wide, that means that I would have to make Elsa quite smaller than all the other princesses to fit both of her hands. So I thought just, making the reference picture bigger so you can only see one of her hands would get the point across. Do you have magic hands? Best impersonation while sick ever. For her magic-y ice stuff, I contemplated for a short amount of time whether or not I actually wanted to make it like super, super detailed, because I love detail. So I almost went through and drew like every little ice particle and everything, but then I was like, that would take me forever. So maybe not. Decided to try and see how good like just a swirl would look. So that's when I did this. I thought it looked good, so I went with it. I was actually planning on not drawing any more after she said, well. So at this point, I went through and touched up everything or did anything that I forgot to do, such as giving these fine princesses faces and detail. And after I touched it up, I showed my cousin Allie and asked her if she thought I should continue, and we came up with the rest of the cubes that I decided to go with. As I was touching up, of course, since I sketched all these princesses, you can see through all of them because they're not solid colors. It's a sketch, And this is where the separate layers can be very, very helpful. Now, I could erase it and that would probably be easier, but I didn't want to erase any lines in case I wanted to change it later. So instead, I basically put like a white sheet of paper in between the princesses. So in order to do that, and it'll make more sense when I explain it, first I had to move the princesses in the order of like frontness. Whichever princess was in the front needed to be in the top of the group. Whichever princess was in the back had to be all the way on the bottom. Which for this was Belle in the front, then Kida, then Elsa and Moana on the bottom. I added a new layer below Belle and above Kida, and in that new layer I drew the same white of the background of my canvas and basically just filled in all of Belle. That hid all of the unnecessary lines that we don't need to see while not erasing them forever. Did the same process for Kida and Elsa. In case you're brand new to Procreate, I thought I would show you how I saved all of them. I hit the little wrench on the top left, then share and JPEG. The difference between JPEG and PNG, in case you don't know, is PNG would be see-through if I didn't have this big white background. JPEG is never see-through, but JPEG is usually available to use anywhere. Like PNG is mostly for websites or graphic stuff like that. JPEG is like for anything. So for this one, I just decided to go with JPEG since I didn't need anything to be see-through. Guess I can show you on the screen real quick. This is a PNG. This is a JPEG. After my cousin and I talked it out, came up with the next ideas, I put in all the new layers that I would need and wrote down what I was going to do for them so I wouldn't forget. So this first one is, Cinderella, and she's going to say, "Do animals talk to you?" Here I had to keep in mind that Kida is, again, not as short as Vanellope, so I looked at the previous Kida drawing that I did to figure out where Cinderella's eyeline might be. Now for Cinderella, as you can see, she has animal creatures like all over her. Now I didn't want to draw each and every single one of them, so I just picked a couple. I went with the mouse in her hair because I thought it would be the most visible and noticeable one, and because that mouse is my favorite, and the bird on her shoulder as well. Also, I never noticed that Cinderella didn't have ears. Obviously she has ears in this picture, but I mean, in her two-dimensional original movie, she didn't have ears. Like, I didn't know that until I watched some videos reviewing the Wreck-It Ralph trailer and somebody pointed that out. I was like, what? Cinderella has ears, right? No? Blew my mind. I love Kida's position here. She looks so smug. But she's smiling, and I didn't think that she would necessarily be smiling when she said no. So I decided that when I drew her lips, I would make it less smiley and more like she is not amused. First, I want to say that I absolutely love that Tiana is over there, like, holding her back. Like, Sleeping Beauty would definitely prick her finger on that if Tiana wasn't over there like, "No girl, calm yourself." Also, for some reason, after I drew Aurora's face, I thought she looked a lot like Moana. I don't know if it's just me, but I think her eyes look a lot like Moana and her facial expression. I don't know. I can't get Moana out of my head. I had the hardest time with Aurora's hand, so I am very sorry how bad it turned out. But I did the best that I could, and I spent a lot of time on it. So, I mean, it's fine. I noticed that Belle's eyes felt like I've already done them before. Like, her eyes seemed really similar. Is when I realized the person that she's standing right next to in this picture is the person that she has the exact same eyes with. So instead of redrawing the exact same eyes that I've already done, I decided to just go back to Rapunzel, copy her eyes, kind of looks like she has sunglasses right now, and paste them onto Belle and move them around a little bit so that it aligned with her face more. time for the last picture where Kida is finally accepted as a Disney princess by her fellow princesses. I didn't want to redraw all the princesses that I've already drawn, so I thought that I would just duplicate some of the ones that I saw in the picture reference, knowing that I definitely needed Rapunzel because she was the center of attention in that picture, and then just slightly modify each one separately. So pretty much I just redid all of their lips so that they were smiling or like okay with it, and fixed up some of their arms. Like Elsa, for example. She is not showing off her magicness while she's like, hey, yeah, you could be a princess. Paraphrasing. Major paraphrasing. Rapunzel, I didn't have to redo her lips because she was smiling in her first one as well. After I had all of the princesses adjusted, I went ahead and did the same thing that I did earlier with the big princess picture and drew white behind Rapunzel so that we couldn't see through her. And that's it. Here is the finished product, a little collage that I made so we could see it all in one go. Let me know in the comments which non-official Disney princess you wish would have been in the background of this awesome get-together princess scene. You can also let me know if you have any requests for drawings that you would like me to do. Currently, I have 2 requests that I'm working on, a Will Byers in Pokemon style and a Tim Burton style drawing. But if you have anything that you would like me to draw, then just let me know in the comments and I will definitely get to it. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I'll see you guys next time.